You said it was all over.
Do you make a habit of searching my handbag?
You didn't used to have anything to hide.
I love Marion, and I want to spend the rest of my days with her. It's as simple as that.
Paolo is a bitter, possessive man, Jack.
Yeah, all right, so we might have to be a bit discreet until the divorce is through. We accept that.
Well, it could take years.
You've done your best to spoil my friendship with a perfectly nice man.
I only have your best interests at heart, Mrs. Bates.
Emmerdale Farm, tonight at 6:30 on YTV.
Neil, your lab's been testing bleaches for us. What's the verdict?
You mean which killed germs longest in the lavatory?
Yes.
My test did find a winner which killed germs longer. Look at these samples. We took them from lavatories after a number of flushes. Here's the bleach that came second. Germs are beginning to breed again. But the winner is still killing germs.
Care to name it for us?
It's Vortex.
In these tests, Vortex killed germs longer. That's a scientist's verdict.
No need to have a fit. Give me strength. Don't put your foot in it. Why don't you? Fiesta, give me strength.
Fiesta is quilted, so give me strength, give me softness, and give me absorbency.
No need to flap about. Give me strength. Why don't you? Fiesta, give me strength. Just pull your finger out. Give me strength. Fiesta, give me strength. Why don't you? Fiesta, give me strength. Ooh.
Morning.
Morning.
Well, no rest for the wicked.
Oh, now the Condor's no pricey. Oh, Condor mild. Same old Condor, such it might have been, sort of thing. Oh, well, welcome aboard, old boy. Yes, I vividly remember my first pipe full of Condor. We were just rounding the Cape. Bit of a typhoon going up. The captain turned to me and said, "What time is it?"
Nothing should disturb that Condor moment.
So good, other spreads would taste like anchor too if they could. They may try to imitate us, as you can see, but we are anchor cows and do it naturally. Moo moo moo, moo 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 moo. We're the anchor cows that make a butter so good. Other spreads would taste like anchor too if they could. They may try to imitate us, as you can see, but we are anchor cows that do it naturally.
I can always tell, said Mr. Kipling, which friends were born at autumn time. They love the crisp September air in orchards heavy with brambles. So they love my apple pies, the light, crisp pastry, the tangy apple within. Oh, I said, but I was born in May. Just as I supposed, said Mr. Kipling, apple blossom time. I let it pass, for he does make exceedingly good pies.
At 2:30, there's a chance to leaf through the pages of a family album in Heirloom. Right now, an extra edition of the helpful Help Yourself.
Hello. In recent years, our business offices have undergone a transformation from the manual typewriter to the electric to the VDU. And the VDU is this, a visual display unit, which is rather like a television screen and on which the words appear as you type them. The typist sees immediately what she's typing. A great invention indeed. But is it dangerous? Are there perhaps radiation hazards to our bodies? Does it damage our eyes or our skin? Our studio VDU isn't switched on, but thousands are at work as I speak. A book written by Ursula Hughes of the London Hazard Centre and called VDU Hazards Handbook debates the pros and cons with great clarity, and Ursula is with me today. Ursula, what kind of problems do you commonly get reported to you from people who do use VDUs in their work?
Well, the most immediate problems that people experience are things like headaches, sore eyes, a blurred vision, pain in the neck and in the shoulders and in the arms, very often pain in the wrists. There are also more general problems, if you like. People find that their periods get disrupted, for instance, that they suffer more from colds and flu, that their digestion is upset. In short, there are a lot of general health problems associated with VDU work.
Now, just having a look at the VDU, it looks like a television screen. It looks as though it had got, say, a component part of an electric typewriter. So what is it about this piece of equipment that can lead to problems like you've described?
Well, the thing is, you see, you don't use it like a television. People don't sit in front of television sets 18 inches away, focusing very hard on small, hard-to-read letters all day, and also, of course, their hands aren't busily working, doing very precise movements on a keyboard while they're staring at this screen. And the rest of their bodies aren't involved in supporting their hands and their head in these positions, and therefore in tension for 8 hours a day.
How much do you think we understand of the possible hazards of being a VDU operator?
Well, not nearly enough. Not nearly enough research is being carried out. It's, you know, this is one of the main problems about VDU work, is that there's a lot of worry around, and people don't know to what extent these worries are well-founded because the research hasn't been done.
Now, one of the main areas of concern, and understandable concern, is of the possible effect on a pregnant woman and her unborn baby. What's your standing on that?
Well, as I said earlier, not nearly enough research has been done. There have been some very worrying small clusters of problem pregnancies among VDU operators, and there are a lot of different theories around about how these could have been caused. It could be radiation, it could be static electricity, it could be stress, it could be to do with the posture of being a VDU operator, or again it could be purely chance. But until proper research is carried out, we won't know, and pregnant women will continue to be worried.
If you are an operator, how well are you protected by, say, existing health and safety at work legislation, things like that?
Well, the Health and Safety at Work Act does give any group of workers who are in a recognised trade union the right to carry out safety inspections and the right to certain sorts of information from their employers, which is a very valuable first step in trying to get a well-designed working environment in which the hazards can be minimised.
So that should be one of your first steps, should it, if you are an operator, to make sure that the environment is right in which to be using the VDU?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you, Ursula. If you'd like to know more about visual display units, please ring us now on leads 448-199 and we'll send you more information. If you can't ring now, then write to Help Yourself, VDU, Yorkshire Television, Leeds LS3 1JS. From Help Yourself until next time, goodbye.
This September, catch all the action live, round the clock, the 24th Summer Olympic Games. From a winning team, ITV and Channel 4.
What's the use of worrying and feeling blue when days are long? Keep on smiling through. Spread a little happiness to...
Spread a Little Happiness, performed by Sting and written more than 50 years ago by Vivian Ellis, one of Britain's most prolific light entertainment composers.
Fred Day said to me, well, you'll never succeed probably as a music hall composer, but you might succeed as a composer for the theatre.
He's also written music for memorable TV commercials, from butter to trains. Spread a Little Happiness, a profile of Vivian Ellis, tonight at 11:05 on ITV.
Now, family history is examined in the form of the family album, as we dust off another edition of Heirloom.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to another Heirloom programme. Now, this week, portraits, campaigns, regimental flags and even a bed come under the heading of Family Album. And what better to start than this beautiful portrait miniature. Now, just look at that. Now, there is a lady, I suppose, painted around about 1850, 1855, that sort of period. And usually on this programme we talk about quality and try and compare. And if you need comparison, and I don't think you really do with this, look closely at the miniature all over. First of all, of course, her face is of wonderful quality and so beautifully lifelike. Her brooch that you can see there, and her dress, the lace on it, the whole painting is of superb quality. Now, this belongs to Mr. Mark Antonio. Do you have any family history with this?
No, I'm afraid not. It was purchased approximately 7 years ago from a local private collector as a present.
Right. Well, it has a distinctive style, and apart from being a superb miniature, it is in the style of a great artist called Winterhalter. However, he is not known to have made any miniatures or created any miniatures. Nevertheless, it might be possible that commissioned to do so, he would have painted such. It is more likely to be a portrait done by a professional copyist during the 1850s, of which there were many. As a commercial valuation, a portrait miniature like this, of this quality, I would suggest that you insure for about £5,000 to £6,000, that sort of range. I don't think it's any great surprise if you start looking at miniatures and portraits because the quality is there. However, of course, if it were the one and only by the great artist, well, we would be talking in much higher figures. But I think that for the time being, I would certainly recommend that that is the level of insurance that you take for it. But it is a wonderful, wonderful piece of work and a lovely thing to start the programme with. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, the miniature painter was actually the court photographer of centuries past. And here is the sort of thing produced for the gentry and the aristocracy during the latter part of the 18th century. Miniature artists, of course, had been employed since the 15th century. But during the latter part of the 18th century, they really came into their own, and delightful little oval miniatures like this were produced for most leading families. And this one, I think you can see, has got a gentleman, I suppose, from his costume, as we date most of these that are unsigned, a white wig, therefore powdered hair anyway, so that would not be much after 1800. He has rather a fancy bow, you can see there. Well, that too, 1790 to 1800. I'm not being at all insulting about the miniature if I say that it is not by any means the quality of the previous one. And I think you can see that for yourselves. However, it has a great heirloom value because on the underside, you'll see there the curls of hair of 3 members of the family. And this is a very popular treatment for the backs of miniatures during this period, the 18th century, when you find the hair curled up or plaited or woven as part of the miniature itself. And you'll notice it's upside down because it was worn as a brooch in this case and could be turned up and shown in that way. A nice thing, a lovely thing. Prices for these range between £100 and goodness knows how many thousands. Now we go on a military vein, or a military line, and we have here a bronze of His Royal Highness, and it belongs to Mr. Edwards. Now, you've got some family history with this?
Well, it was a gift to the art editor of the Continental Daily Mail between the wars.
Right.
He was a specialist in aerial photography in the Royal Flying Corps. Okay. And he photographed the Duke on more than one occasion.
And you had it when? How long have you had it?
Well, he left it to his daughter.
Right.
His daughter left it to me.
Now, Laplagne, as you know, obviously was among the leading bronze artists. And this particular model, do you have it insured separately?
No.
No. It's not of great value because very few figures, in fact, of His Royal Highness are of great value. There is only one, and that is of him not in army uniform, but playing tennis by Charles Sergeant Jager. And that, I suppose, would, if you can find one in the attic, anybody got one in the attic, will reach round about £30,000. This one will make, or should be insured, let's put it that way, should be insured for £750 to £1,000. But a lovely object, and thank you for bringing it, because it has set the scene for our trail this evening on militaria.
I'm very happy about that.
And we'll go across, and you can see immediately why that was important, because the next item is a picture, a military picture of an officer, and it belongs to Mr. Ager. Mr. Ager, tell me something about the picture.
The picture was given to me approximately 26 years ago by an old friend of the family. Unfortunately, it's been placed in the attic or the garage. It's never been brought to light, really, except in the last 2 or 3 months. The picture reminds me of an old company sergeant major I used to know, so that's why we put him in the attic, really. But other than that, I know very little. I believe he's an officer in the Irish Guards. I also believe he's a Knight of the Garter.
Right.
Other than that, I know nothing, not even to the artist.
Well, the artist is signed down here, K. Fox, and we've had an opportunity, at least I've had a little time since you first sent in the photograph, to find out that the only K. Fox of any note, and this is quite a good picture, this is no amateur job, was a Kathleen Fox, who exhibited in London in the RA between 1911 and 1924, but she painted landscapes with a few portraits, just a few portraits, which she painted in Dublin. And this gentleman is an officer in the Irish Guards. So it could well tie in that we have here one of the few portraits by Kathleen Fox. So, I mean, what I shall do is to see if we can possibly, in the future, trace that and find out for you. That's the good news. The bad news, or the slight disappointment, is although it may be a rarity, it doesn't make it any more valuable. So I'm afraid it's not sort of retirement time. You know. It's a picture in the mid-hundreds, irrespective of whether we can trace the gentleman concerned or not. £500 to £600, but it's a bit too good to have in the attic. All right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, some more militaria. And this came with a most charming letter and an inquiry from Mrs. Maidment. Mrs. Maidment, you wrote and asked me about the Duke of Edinburgh.
Yes.
Well, first of all, let's have a look at the picture. It is a needlework picture. At the top, it has VR, and then the crossed flags and usual militaria. The Duke of Edinburgh, and it says here, the Duke of Edinburgh's regiment, raised in Glasgow, March 25th, 1824. Which is confusing, I will admit, because it's got VR for Victoria on top. Well, first of all, the Duke of Edinburgh. Well, the Duke of Edinburgh is a royal title that was introduced from time to time. The first one was at the beginning of the 18th century, and that was the nephew of George III. George III. And the second Duke of Edinburgh, and the full title is actually the Duke of Gloucester and Edinburgh. This one was William Frederick, and he would have been alive in 1824. He died in the 1830s, about 1834 or 35. And the next Duke of Edinburgh, presumably, when this was made, would be during the time of one of the sons of Queen Victoria, who was the third Duke of Edinburgh. So it's about as accurate as I can get. There may be 1 or 2 slips in the dates there, but that's the sort of general development of the title itself. It's a lovely thing, and the nice thing about it is the colours, which are so well preserved. Now then, we've got something here which looks like a little stool, but it's not. It's a bed. It says here a cabinetta. It's a little bed. And it folds out. How about that for a campaign? We've taught all militaria, and no talk about militaria would be complete without a campaign bed. Now, this belongs to Mr. Cannell. Mr. Cannell. Now, you tell me what's special about this bed.
Well, it belonged to Baden-Powell. It was given to me 8 to 10 years ago by an old lady, and I believe it was the bed he had when he was defending Mafeking.
It's a wonderful story, and far be it from me to decry such a story, because it's nice to have these rumours and histories with heirlooms. Unfortunately, when it comes to a commercial decision, such a story can't hold water. I mean, it's just a nice thing to believe. But as I'm sure commercialism doesn't come into this,
no.
Let's carry on with that. Just imagine that Baden-Powell actually slept on there and was in Khartoum defending it. You can hear the guns. Oh, wonderful stuff. Ta-da! Great. This is part of history. And even if it wasn't his or he didn't use it, it might well have been there because it is of that period. As yet, you know, even things as interesting as this are not yet making a great deal of money. And I think that it is certainly the sort of thing that I would always advise somebody to hang on to, even if you don't have that history. Today, I suppose in the sort of 150, 160 pound mark, under 200, but well over 1. That sort of price range for insurance. But as an heirloom, I would think priceless.
Yes.
Now we've got a campaign in print form made into a jigsaw puzzle. And this belongs to Mr. Gray. Now, you've got some family history with this, I believe. This is a true family-made piece, isn't it?
This was made by your grandfather.
And it shows, of course, Nelson. Goodbye, my lads. We're all supposed to be... We should be getting very patriotic this afternoon. Anyway, there he is, and this sort of item really will rarely, if ever, become a very valuable piece. But if you can put in here somewhere, or pin on the back, the name of the grandfather, and find out almost precisely when it was made, and any other details in the family, this then will become part of your family history. And that's what this show is all about heirlooms. And just as you must always put in your family photograph album who the people are, so that anything like this that can be made or attributed to anybody in the family, do make a note of it on the item. Right. And now we go from campaigns to history, which we're dealing with all the time, and a history book. Who would have thought under this bit of newspaper lies a history book of such extraordinary quality that I had to show it to you. This was Master John Ray, his history book. As you can see, he went to the Edenfield Academy in Doncaster. And Mr. Ray, this is obviously your, what, great-grandfather?
My great-grandfather, yes.
Great-grandfather.
Yes.
And his history book. And this would have been done, what, in the 1840s?
About then, yes. He was born in 1829, and I don't think he did that later than about 12 years of age.
It is cryptogram drawings, and this is an easier-to-handle book, so we're going to look at this one. There we have another frontispiece, and inside there, the cryptograms which describe total English history. And on the second page, you've got an example of the writing that was done, and you put in your letter to me that people today might like to see the history standards of the past, the educational standards of the past. And I thought it was rather apt, you know, because right now, many of you will be worrying about GCSE results, at least not yours, but the children's. And, you know, tell them not to worry, because they might not prefer to do quite this standard of work today. Isn't that wonderful? And each of these cryptograms refers to an item which is then listed, and so the entire English history is recorded in drawing form, all hand done. Something to be truly proud of, but what a wonderful heirloom. Now, last series produced wonderful, wonderful response when we had a small coach for the coronation made by Britons, the toy makers. And of course, that was because my guest had brought along an extremely fine example, and I think it was worth, oh, several £100. And of course, everybody then thought if they got a box marked Britons with a coach inside, it was going to be the same, and I'm afraid that is not the case. That was the rarity. Most of you sent in photographs of this little coach, or similar to it. Now, this belongs to Mrs. Ingram. Mrs. Ingram, I hope that isn't bad news. No. What I really wanted to say to you was that of the type which most people have, this happened to be the best example. So I'm not sure if that's a double compliment or a double-edged compliment, but it is important to remember that these were made in large numbers, and not always when it says Britain's is it going to be a very valuable thing. This is just a fun toy that was produced at the time of the coronation for a souvenir, and that was it. And I hope it's been played with, has it?
Yes, I played with it as a child.
And you enjoyed it?
Oh, yes.
That's good. Well, that's what you should do with toys. Well, certainly toys like that. And toys like this. This is a lovely, lovely horse. He's on wheels, not a rocker, but he's on wheels, made of wood, and he would date from round about the late 1860s, 1870s. He's very handsome. He's got a pretty face. And if you can judge a rocking horse or a model horse by his face, if he looks pretty, nice-looking horse, then he's more inclined to be an old one, certainly 19th century one. And he belongs to Mrs. Howell. Is he a family one?
Yes. Well, we've had it in the family since my son was 2.
So, obviously, that's one generation, and presumably the next generation will play.
Oh, yes, my grandchildren have played with it.
Wonderful. So it's going to stay in the family?
Oh, yes, I don't think it will disappear.
Well, I think you can enjoy it, and they can enjoy it without worrying too much. It's not a very valuable horse. On the other hand, if you had to replace him, you'd have to give somewhere around about £250 for him. So providing the adults remember that when the children are playing, all will be well, and it will last for generations and generations. Now, that's all we've got time for right now. But before we go, I want you to take another look at that coach and remember it while we have a short break, because my guest this week is going to say something about it, I hope. So, join me in a couple of minutes.
The Northern Upholstery Factory normally closes for 2 weeks in summer. For the first time, it's staying open. And to keep full production, we're offering factory-subsidised prices until this weekend. This suite would normally cost around £1,400. Order now and pay only £895. And the Ashbourne Recliner Suite is today just £799. There's plenty more in the special factory clearance at Northern Upholstery. Carcraft, Brigg, Thorpe Arch, Hull, Grantham and Bradford. Factory-subsidised prices ends this weekend.
I love advertising, don't you? People trying to sell you things all over the place. Great fun. Some of them are nice to eat, too. Like these British lamb steaks. Lovely. I like to chuck some rosemary on them. But then I'm an adventurous sort of chap. Then you go slam them under the grill for about 10 minutes. And we haven't got 10 minutes, so here's some I did earlier. Thank you. Yeah. They were absolutely delicious.
Be creative. Slamming the lamb. British lamb.
Thank you very much indeed, and welcome back. Now, my guest this week is one of the country's leading authorities on collectibles and memorabilia, and a very charming guest to have too. Hilary Kay, welcome back. Now, before the short break, we were talking about a little coach. And I really wanted to go back to that before we get into the military vein or military line that we have tonight. Can you tell us a bit about quality? Because you've got actually a coach and horses, or it's a military carriage, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, the Little Britain's coronation coach that we saw just at the end of the first half was really very poor quality for Britons. People usually think about Soldiers by William Britton and they think quality.
Yeah.
And with the coronation coach, it was something made for a special event. It was produced cheaply to be sold cheaply, and I'm afraid they left quality to fend for itself.
So quality, what should we look at? Because it's all comparative, isn't it?
All right, well, I've got in front of me here some soldiers made not by Britons, but by a German company, a little bit older than Britons. These are dating from the 1870s onwards. And, for instance, if you look at the quality of this limber in front of me, and you can see every detail is absolutely perfect, from the harness and the bridles, all the way through right to the end of the gun. And people say, well, now, it could be Britons. Well, to me, it couldn't be Britons because there are very subtle differences. For instance, the way that cavalry officers with Heidi are actually put into the horse is in a particular way.
Well, he's got a little sort of nail thing sticking down, which pegs him into the horse.
That stops him from falling off.
So you don't get that on a Britons?
Never get that on a Britons.
Right.
And equally, if you look at a Heidi soldier, like this little chap, He's very sort of dumpy in proportion. His arms and legs are sort of the wrong proportion to his body, so that's another way that you can tell. But these are interesting because they're German-made and they're made of a solid metal, whereas Britain's were made of a slightly different material. It was hollow cast, and they were just a little bit bigger.
Right. So Heidi is a good thing to look for. I mean, it's rather than Britain's now.
Yes.
How much would that be worth, that gun carriage and that set, for example?
All right. Well, this is a set on its own.
Right.
Those are just pieces from another set. This set would probably be worth £250, £300. Which is the sort of price that one immediately thinks of in sort of Britain's terms. But the market is changing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you've got some Britain soldiers there. What do we look for?
I have. Well, before we look into the box, the first thing to look at is actually at the box lid.
Right.
Because one way of dating the soldiers is to look at the box lid, and this chap here, Fred Wistock, was responsible for the design of the box lids up until the First World War period. And although each box lid is different, because there's a different set inside, the design is very similar. So that's one way of checking the date. And then looking inside, I'm sure everybody's had a set of Britain's soldiers at some time in their life, and one way of telling that a soldier is by Britain's is very often, particularly with running soldiers like this, you'll find that the
arms move.
The arms... Oh,
pivot.
There we go.
They swing.
Yes, the right arm just wiggles a bit.
I've got some with nothing but stumps left on the shoulders. The arms pulled off.
They obviously had some good battles.
Rather.
But the other thing that's interesting is that Britain's made all their soldiers to the same scale. And if we put let's find a little sailor, a blue chap, with one of these blue chaps, you'll see that they are actually very different in size.
Yes, they're different proportions. I see what you mean there.
The Britons are actually much better models in that way.
Now then, how much is a set like that of Britain's worth?
Well, you could be talking about £10 a figure. So...
Really?
Well, in fact, even a little more than that. I would put this box at perhaps £80 to £100.
Wow.
Now, yes, but we're talking about very good condition. We're talking about original box, and we're talking about an early set. So you've got the three sort of best possibles there.
Now, these are sort of First World War period, or just pre-First World War, right? What about the last war? Because, I mean, in history, and we've always mentioned history already, they are now doing, as history, the Second World War, which, of course, I find very difficult to understand. Is there anything from that one should look out for to collect?
Yes, I mean, the group of soldiers that I have here are actually dating from the 1930s. And although they're British, they're a British regiment, they were produced in Germany by a company called Elastalin. And Elastalin is actually the name of the material that they're made of as well, which was a sort of gunge made of sawdust bound together with glue and linseed oil. And that was made into a mould around a sort of metal frame. So in the 30s, here we are, a German company producing English Tommies. But later on in the 30s, they actually changed their marketing techniques. They no longer wanted to export to the UK. And they produced black shirts and Nazi regiments.
Are those valuable?
Yes. I have to say that they are much more valuable than the Tommies.
Really?
Yes, I mean, I think that they're perhaps scarcer. There's certainly a terrific demand for them now.
It's a sort of curious demand, isn't it?
I think from a historical point of view, somebody who wants to have a historical display would want to have both sides of the army.
And when we say valuable or sought after, what sort of value on these at the moment?
Well, I've picked out here figures that are really doing things, and they're the most desirable. So the figures that I have here would certainly be worth several pounds each, but boring figures standing in line, not doing very much, we're talking about pence rather than pounds.
Poor old foot soldier.
Yes, the infantry have the worst of it again.
So, thank you very much indeed. And once again, it's been a great pleasure.
Thank you very much, Jim.
And equally, once again, that's all we've got time for this week. Don't forget to look very carefully in any boxes you've got containing modern soldiers, because they might be worth some money. So, until the same time, the same place next week, goodbye.
For Glyn Houston, the better days are a-comin' as he leaves his beloved valleys to live with his son in the city.
All I know is I'm being chucked out of my own house.
Don't do this to me now, Dad. It's all been worked out.
You can't get rid of me quick enough.
Just think of that nice place by the sea you've always wanted.
Yes, but I wanted that with your mother. Well, here we are, Sissy.
Hey, Mum, Grandad was in the Spanish Civil War.
Really?
No more Sandinista posters in this house. I'm putting in for silk next year. I might become a Queen's Counsellor, a QC.
Glyn Houston stars in Better Days, Sunday at 9:30 on ITV.
And Carol is hoping for better days to come as she meets the new young men of the village in Take the High Road. Next.
Very good. Film star, film star. Claire.
Look at those dry lines.
By smoothing out the dryness which causes fine lines, Pond's Dry Skin Cream helps your skin stay soft and younger looking.
That's great, Mum.
Okay, I'm ready for my close-up.
Pond's Dry Skin Cream helps your skin stay younger looking.
If tartar built up on the teeth of a fork, you'd never allow it in your mouth. But you let tartar build up on your teeth, it's a breeding ground for bacteria, so your dentist has to scrape it away. But now, there's new, improved Tartar Control Crest, clinically proven to be more effective at reducing the rate of tartar buildup. New Tartar Control Crest, now more effective to help keep teeth tartar-free.
I thought you said it was all over.
Do you make a habit of searching my handbag?
You didn't used to have anything to hide. I love Marion, and I want to spend the rest of my days with her. It's as simple as that.
Paolo is a bitter, possessive man, Jack.
Yeah, all right, so we might have to be a bit discreet until the divorce is through. We accept that.
Well, it could take years.
You've done your best to spoil my friendship with a perfectly nice man.
I only have your best interests at heart, Mrs. Bates.
Emmerdale Farm, tonight at 6:30 on YTV. Sons and daughters, love and laughter all come to the screen at 3:30 this afternoon. Now on Yorkshire, we take the high road.